If you hold a green card or know someone who does, the next few minutes could be critical for your travel plans and your immigration status. There is breaking news circulating about a potential 90-day freeze on green card travel, and I want to cut through the noise and give you the facts you need right now. I'm going to walk you through what we know as of today, what official sources are actually saying, where this information is coming from, and most importantly, what concrete steps you should take immediately to protect your status and your ability to travel. Whether you're a lawful permanent resident planning a trip abroad, someone waiting for a green card, or a family member trying to understand what this means for your loved ones, stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll have a clear action plan based on verified information from official sources, not rumors or speculation. Let me start by saying this. As of February 4, 2026, there is no confirmed executive order, Department of Homeland Security directive, or official USCIS announcement that has implemented a blanket 90-day freeze on green card holder travel. I have checked the White House official statements, the Department of Homeland Security press releases, the USCIS policy manual updates, and Customs and Border Protection guidance, and there is no such policy currently in effect according to these official channels. That said, immigration policy in the United States can change rapidly, especially through executive action, and rumors or preliminary reports sometimes emerge before official announcements. So what I'm going to do is give you the full context of what could happen, what has happened historically, what your rights are as a green card holder, and exactly what you need to do to stay informed and prepared. Let's talk about what a green card actually means for your travel rights. When you become a lawful permanent resident of the United States, you are granted the right to live and work permanently in this country, and you are also granted the right to travel internationally and return to the United States. Your green card is your proof of that status. Under normal circumstances, a green card holder can travel outside the United States and return, as long as the trip does not exceed certain time limits and does not indicate an abandonment of permanent residence. Generally speaking, if you are outside the United States for less than 6 months, there is a presumption that you have not abandoned your residence. If you are outside for 6 months to 1 year, you may face questions upon return. And if you are outside for more than 1 year without a re-entry permit, you risk being considered to have abandoned your status. These are the baseline rules that have been in place for years, and they are codified in the Immigration and Nationality Act and implemented through USCIS and CBP regulations. Now, can the executive branch restrict green card holder travel? The answer is yes, under certain circumstances and legal frameworks. The President has broad authority in matters of immigration and national security, particularly under the Immigration and Nationality Act Section 212F, which allows the President to suspend entry of any class of aliens if their entry would be detrimental to the interests of the United States. We have seen this authority used in the past. In January 2017, for example, Executive Order 13769, commonly known as the travel ban, initially included green card holders from certain countries, though that provision was quickly walked back and clarified within days due to legal challenges and public outcry. The key lesson from that episode is that even when executive orders are issued, their implementation can be chaotic, they can be challenged in court, and they can be modified rapidly. If a similar order were to be issued today affecting green card holders, you would expect to see immediate legal challenges, guidance from advocacy organizations, and clarification from federal agencies about how the order applies and what exceptions exist. So, where is this rumor about a 90-day freeze coming from? In situations like this, it's essential to trace the source. Sometimes reports emerge from leaked drafts of executive orders, from statements by administration officials that are taken out of context, from misinterpretations of proposed regulations, or from advocacy groups raising alarm about potential policies. As of the date I'm recording this, February 4th, 2026, I have not found corroboration from Reuters, Associated Press, The New York Times, The Wall Street Journal, BBC, or other top-tier news organizations that a 90-day green card travel freeze has been announced or implemented. If such a policy were real and in effect, you would see it reported widely, and you would see official notices on the DHS and USCIS websites. The absence of such coverage does not mean the rumor is baseless. It means you need to be cautious and verify before making major decisions. Here's what you should do right now if you are a green card holder and you are concerned about travel restrictions. First, check the official sources directly. Go to the USCIS website at uscis.gov, the Department of Homeland Security at dhs.gov, and Customs and Border Protection at cbp.gov. Look for press releases, alerts, and updates. These agencies are required to post official policy changes and guidance. If there is a travel restriction in place, it will be documented there. Second, if you have travel plans in the next 90 days, do not cancel them immediately based on unverified reports, but do stay flexible. Contact your airline and understand their cancellation and rebooking policies. Third, if you are currently outside the United States and you hold a green card, monitor the situation closely. If a restriction is announced, contact the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate for guidance. They will have the most current information about how the policy applies to you and whether any exceptions or waivers are available. Fourth, consult with a qualified immigration attorney if you have specific concerns about your status or your travel. An attorney can review your individual circumstances, assess your risk, and provide tailored advice that I cannot give you in a general video like this. Let me walk you through what a real travel restriction on green card holders might look like if it were implemented, based on historical precedent and legal frameworks. If the administration were to issue such an order, it would likely cite national security, public health, or another compelling government interest. The order would specify which individuals are affected, whether it applies to all green card holders or only those from certain countries, whether there are exceptions for humanitarian reasons, medical emergencies, or other circumstances, and how long the restriction would last. The order would also outline the process for seeking a waiver or exception. Agencies like CBP and USCIS would then issue implementation guidance, which would clarify how officers at ports of entry should apply the order, what documentation travelers need to provide, and what happens if someone is caught mid-travel when the order takes effect. History shows us that implementation is often messy. In 2017, travelers were detained at airports, court orders were issued halting parts of the ban, and it took weeks for clear procedures to emerge. If you are planning travel, understand that even if an order is challenged and eventually overturned, you could face delays, questioning, and uncertainty in the interim. Now let's talk about your rights. If you are a lawful permanent resident, you have significant protections under U.S. law. You have the right to return to the United States. You have the right to due process, which means the government cannot arbitrarily strip you of your status without a hearing. If you are stopped at a port of entry and an officer attempts to deny you entry or to pressure you to sign a form abandoning your green card, you have the right to request to speak with an attorney. You have the right to a hearing before an immigration judge, and you have the right to challenge the government's determination. Do not sign any document that you do not fully understand, and do not make statements that could be used against you without legal counsel. Organizations like the American Civil Liberties Union, the American Immigration Lawyers Association, and local legal aid organizations often provide resources and sometimes emergency legal assistance during times of immigration enforcement changes. If you find yourself in a difficult situation at an airport or border crossing, ask for a lawyer and do not agree to anything until you have consulted with one. Let's also address what this could mean for people who are in the process of getting a green card but do not have it yet. If you are waiting for an immigrant visa interview at a U.S. consulate abroad, if you have an approved I-130 or I-140 petition but have not yet adjusted status or received your visa, or if you are in the United States on a different status and planning to adjust to permanent residence, A travel freeze on green card holders would not directly apply to you because you are not yet a green card holder. However, changes in policy often ripple outward. An administration that restricts green card travel might also implement changes to visa processing, adjustment of status procedures, or consular operations. Monitor USCIS processing times, check the National Visa Center and consulate websites for your country, and stay in communication with your immigration attorney or the organization sponsoring your application. Do not assume that a policy aimed at one group will leave you untouched. For those of you who are family members or employers of green card holders, you also have a role to play. If you have employees who are permanent residents and they travel internationally for work, make sure they are informed and supported. Provide them with company documentation that explains the purpose of their travel. Keep copies of their travel itineraries and green cards, and have a contact person available if they encounter issues at the border. If you are a U.S. citizen family member, understand that while you cannot lose your own right to travel, your loved one's situation could affect family plans and reunification. Be patient, be informed, and be ready to advocate if necessary. Now, let's ground this in what official sources say about lawful permanent resident travel under normal circumstances. According to USCIS, a green card holder can travel outside the United States and return as long as they have not abandoned their permanent residence. Abandonment is determined by looking at the length of the trip, the purpose of the trip, your ties to the United States such as employment, family, property, and tax filings, and your intent to return. USCIS and CBP officers have discretion to question you about these factors when you return. If you plan to be outside the United States for more than 1 year, you should apply for a re-entry permit before you leave. A re-entry permit is valid for up to 2 years and demonstrates that you intended to maintain your permanent residence even during a long trip abroad. If you do not have a re-entry permit and you stay abroad for more than 1 year, you may be found to have abandoned your status and you may need to apply for a returning resident visa, which is a complex and uncertain process. In terms of current travel advisories and restrictions that do exist, Customs and Border Protection maintains a list of current travel alerts on their website. As of early February 2026, there are no standing restrictions specific to green card holders as a class. There are, however, country-specific restrictions related to security concerns, and there are public health measures that can be implemented under Title 42 or other authorities, though those have largely been lifted since the pandemic. The State Department also issues travel advisories for U.S. citizens and residents traveling to certain countries, and those are worth reviewing if you are planning a trip. The key point is that official travel restrictions are always published and communicated through official channels. If you cannot find a restriction on an official government website, treat reports of it with skepticism until you can verify. Let me give you a concrete scenario. Imagine you are a green card holder originally from a country that has been the subject of past travel bans or security concerns. You have a family emergency and you need to travel back to that country next week. What do you do in this environment of uncertainty? First, check the official sources I mentioned. Second, make sure your green card is valid and not expired. If it is expired or about to expire, consider filing for a renewal immediately because traveling on an expired green card can lead to complications even under normal circumstances. Third, gather evidence of your ties to the United States. Bring recent tax returns, proof of employment, lease or mortgage documents, utility bills, and anything else that shows you live here and intend to return. Fourth, keep your trip as short as possible and document your reason for travel. If it is a medical emergency, bring hospital records or a letter from a doctor. If it is a funeral, bring a death certificate or obituary. Fifth, when you return, be prepared for questioning. Answer truthfully and calmly. If an officer raises concerns, you can provide the documentation you brought and explain your situation. If the officer suggests you have abandoned your residence, do not sign anything and request a hearing before an immigration judge. This is your legal right. Another scenario. You are a green card holder and you have been living in the United States for 15 years. You became a permanent resident through your spouse who is a U.S. citizen. You have children who are U.S. citizens. You have a job. You own a home. You pay taxes. You have a trip planned to visit relatives in Europe in 3 months. Should you be worried? Under current law and absent any new executive order, no, you should not be worried. Your travel is routine, and you have strong ties to the United States. However, if a new policy were announced, you would want to assess whether it applies to you specifically. If the policy were limited to recent green card holders or those from certain countries, you might not be affected. If it were a blanket policy, you would need to decide whether to postpone your trip or to proceed with the understanding that you might face delays or additional scrutiny. This is why staying informed in real time is so important. Let's also talk about what happens if you are outside the United States when a travel restriction is announced. This is one of the most stressful scenarios. If you are already abroad and you hear that green card holders are being barred from returning, do not panic. First, contact the nearest U.S. embassy or consulate immediately. Embassy consular sections have staff trained to assist U.S. nationals and lawful permanent residents. They will have the latest guidance from the State Department and DHS. Second, reach out to an immigration attorney in the United States who can monitor the situation from the domestic side and provide you with real-time updates. Third, connect with advocacy organizations. Groups like the International Refugee Assistance Project, the National Immigration Law Center, and others often mobilize quickly to provide support and information during crises. Fourth, document everything. Keep records of your travel dates, your attempts to return, any communications with U.S. officials, and any expenses or harms you suffer due to being unable to return. This documentation could be important if you later need to challenge a decision or seek relief. Fifth, do not assume you are barred forever. Even in 2017, many people who were initially turned away were ultimately allowed to return after court orders, policy clarifications, or waivers were granted. Now, I want to address something that is really important for seniors and for people who are not fluent in English or who are not comfortable navigating government websites. If you are in one of these groups, you are not alone and there are resources to help you. Many community organizations, churches, and immigrant advocacy groups offer free or low-cost assistance with immigration matters. They can help you check official websites, understand notices, and find legal help if you need it. USCIS also has a contact center that you can call, and they have interpreters available in many languages. The number is 1-800-375-5283. If you receive a notice from USCIS or CBP that you do not understand, do not ignore it. Take it to someone who can help you read it and respond appropriately. Missing a deadline or failing to respond to a notice can have serious consequences for your status. I also want to emphasize the importance of keeping your address updated with USCIS. As a green card holder, you are required by law to notify USCIS within 10 days of moving to a new address. You can do this online or by filing Form AR-11. If USCIS sends you a notice and it goes to an old address, you might miss important information or deadlines. Keeping your address current is a simple but critical step in protecting your status. Let me circle back to the broader context of why rumors like this spread and why they can be so disruptive. Immigration policy in the United States is deeply political, and it changes with each administration. What one president implements, the next may reverse. What seems stable today can shift tomorrow. This creates an environment of uncertainty, especially for people whose lives and families depend on their immigration status. Rumors spread on social media, in community groups, and through word of mouth, often faster than official information. Sometimes these rumors are based on real draft policies or leaked documents, and sometimes they are complete fabrications. The best defense against misinformation is to develop the habit of checking official sources and to cultivate a network of trusted advisors, whether that is an immigration attorney, a community organization, or a knowledgeable friend or family member. It is also worth noting that even when policies are announced officially, their interpretation and enforcement can vary. Different CBP officers at different ports of entry may apply the same rule differently. Different USCIS officers may assess the same application differently. This is why documentation is so important, why understanding your rights is so important, and why having legal representation can make a real difference. If you can afford to consult with an immigration attorney, especially if you have a complex situation or if you are planning significant travel, it is worth the investment. Many attorneys offer initial consultations for a reasonable fee or even for free, and they can help you understand your risks and options. So, to bring this all together, here is your action plan. Number 1, verify the facts. Check usis.gov, dhs.gov, and cbp.gov for official announcements. Do not rely on social media posts or forwarded messages. Number 2, if you have travel planned, do not cancel immediately, but stay flexible and monitor the situation daily. Number 3, make sure your green card is up to date and that USCIS has your current address. Number 4, gather and organize documentation of your ties to the United States. Keep these documents in a safe place and bring them with you when you travel. Number 5, if you are currently abroad or if you travel and encounter problems, contact the U.S. Embassy or Consulate and seek legal advice. Number 6, know your rights. You have the right to return, the right to due process, and the right to legal representation. Number 7, connect with trusted resources, whether that is an attorney, a community organization, or a helpline. Number 8, stay calm and informed. Immigration policy can be stressful and uncertain, but knowledge and preparation are your best tools. Before I close, I want to remind you that everything I have shared in this video is informational and educational. It is not legal advice, and it is not a substitute for consulting with a qualified immigration attorney about your specific situation. Immigration law is complex, and every person's circumstances are different. What applies to one person may not apply to another. If you have questions or concerns about your status, your travel, or your rights, please speak with a professional who can give you personalized guidance. Immigration policy can and does change, and it can change quickly. The information I have provided is accurate as of February 4th, 2026, based on official sources and credible news reporting available at the time of this recording. I encourage you to continue checking official government websites and trusted news sources for updates. If new information emerges, I will do my best to bring it to you here on Immigration News Today. This channel exists to give you clear, accurate, and timely information about immigration matters that affect you and your family. We are committed to cutting through the noise, verifying the facts, and empowering you with knowledge so you can make informed decisions. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button, share it with anyone who might benefit, and subscribe to Immigration News Today so you do not miss future updates. Check the description below for links to official resources, including USCIS, DHS, and CBP websites, as well as contact information for legal aid organizations. Your immigration status is important, your rights matter, and you deserve to have reliable information. Thank you for trusting me with your time today, and I will see you in the next video. Stay informed, stay safe, and take care of yourself and your loved ones.